Princess Leia, champion of the rebel cause.
Give me a hairstyle that further widens my already wide face.
A number of years ago, Michael inherited this Princess Leia doll from his uncle, and she has a problem that many of the loose examples you'll find have, in that her hair is no longer mint like it came from the factory. She's missing a lot of her accessories, and you can see the difference between this fairly minty example here and the one Michael got from his uncle. These toys came out in the late 70s. They were released by Kenner, and Princess Leia, of the 12 dolls that were released, of course, was the only female. And she does look remarkably like a Barbie. So what I think happened in a lot of the cases when these dolls were actually purchased is they got handed down to a little sister or a cousin or something like that who wanted to play with Princess Leia's hair. And I mean, who wouldn't, right? So you'll see a lot of them, and her hair is loose, it's just been brushed out, and you basically just have a doll of Carrie Fisher, because the likeness is actually quite good. It's really not that hard to fix her hair, even if you're a guy and you don't know a lot about fixing hair. And you may want to have a complete collection, or maybe you're just a huge Princess Leia fan and you want to display one, but you don't want to pay the premium that you'll pay to get a mint-in-box version of this Leia doll. So I'm going to walk you through what you need to do to make her look nice and pretty for display, and let's get started. Before we get started, I just wanted to show you all of the accessories that should come with this doll. You obviously will need her original dress, and she also has this belt, which sort of clips together like this in the back. She has 2 stockings or socks, and she's got some white shoes that look like this. And she also came with a brush, a blue brush, and a comb. These are probably the rarest items. They were very frequently lost or misplaced with some girl's Barbie doll set or something like that. And then her hair is actually held in the classic cinnamon bun style with these, they're always called brown donuts. They're just these plastic pieces which are very frequently lost. And I'm going to show you a workaround there. Just because you can't actually see them when they are correctly in place, and because they're so hard to find, it's helpful to have a substitute. She also came with this cute little book, which further is proof that it was kind of a little girl's toy in the 70s, with all these great hairstyles that I personally would love to try to do to my own hair. Just to sort of show you what she came with. So in looking for a way to replicate this donut, I actually came across a tutorial online from quite a few years ago that talked about sort of using a medicine bottle, sawing it off, drilling a hole in the bottom, and using that as a replacement donut. And honestly, that would work, but it is a lot of effort in my opinion. So I kept thinking there has to be something that's a lot closer in size and shape to this particular piece. So we kind of just walked through the hardware store and we came across this, which is a ball cam assembly for a Delta faucet. Now, just to show you sort of what comes inside this was only like a couple of dollars at Home Depot. There's a rubber part, which I don't find to be as useful, and then there's this great plastic piece. And when you look at the size, hopefully you can see this, and you can see all of my cat's hair everywhere. It is the exact same size. Now, it's not the exact same shape, and the opening is slightly different. It sort of has like a shape to it rather than just being round. But honestly, it doesn't make that much of a difference in terms of its functionality. So, what I have found is that this works really great as a very inexpensive, easily accessible substitute. However, this is white, this is brown. There's a reason that this is painted brown, or is brown plastic rather, and that is because you can probably see in between her hairs once it's inside the hairstyle. And so what I did was I got 2 of these. And I just went ahead and spray painted it brown. It's not an exact match, but it's going to be close enough to sort of disguise it within her bun. So I'll show you how this works, but when you get your doll, she's obviously going to be in whatever condition she's in. So if she's dirty and you just want to wash her, there's no problem. You can literally just, submerge her in sort of warm water. I would recommend using something mild, like a mild detergent. Dawn would probably work. And a toothbrush, and sort of scrub her if she's got some dirt or anything sticky or gross on her. You can wash her hair with shampoo and conditioner and just sort of let it dry naturally. To start with, if she's really dirty and you just need to get her cleaned up. With the dress and the stockings, you could also probably just wash with like Woolite. You can hand wash it in the sink with cold water. If you've got staining going on, you can try using OxyClean. I would be real careful with using something like bleach, because with an older fabric, you just don't really know what will happen. I guess if you're desperate, you could give it a shot. So that will help you to get started. So let's look at how we're actually going to fix the hair. On this particular doll, what I think happened is her hair still feels stiff. It feels like there's hairspray in her hair. And what I think happened maybe is that someone pulled the donut from inside the bun and left the original pigtails where they are. So it's almost still holding its original factory shape. So it's going to be a shame in a way to kind of take that down, but obviously I'm going to have to do that. You can see that the original pigtails rubber band has broken. So it really needs to be, wow, it's like completely crumbling apart. So we're going to have to take that out and replace it. Now what I find works really well are these clear rubber bands, and you can buy them in a 3-pack. I wasn't really sure what size I was going to need, so I actually think that the smallest size works pretty well. So for me, the first step is in really getting started here is getting this broken and completely degraded rubber band out of her hair. I assume that was the original. Sorry to all of you purists who are watching. But it's certainly not functional anymore for its original purpose. So, wow. Rubber was not the best choice for our toys, was it? All right. Because her hair was so stiff from what felt like hairspray, I decided that I was just going to go ahead and quickly wash and dry her hair. I put conditioner in there. So she's kind of got this great Charlie's Angel look. The reason that I wanted to sort of pause for a moment here is at this point is the point you're going to want to make sure that the dress that you're going to display her in and keep her in, you go ahead and apply it now, because once you do her hair, obviously you're not going to be able to pull something over her head. So I'm going to go ahead, and there are 2 snaps on the back. And the way you get this thing on and off is you kind of pull this hood, or what's supposed to be a hood, over her head after you've snapped it. And so there you go. Now, she's got sort of a permanent part in her hair, which sort of makes it a little bit easier to determine where her hair is supposed to be parted. I feel like I am a little girl again. You can just sort of follow it all the way down. And you'll notice that there are some bald spots in the areas like here, and that's super normal because you won't see them once her hair is in place. Okay. These little buggers stretch more than you would think. So I actually used the medium size just so that I could wrap it twice around the pigtail. Now, one thing I want to show you here. On the restorations that I did find online with photographs, there aren't very many, but there are some. One thing that I will point out to you is a lot of people put the little pigtail too high up on her head. And what ends up happening is, as you can see on this example here, the center of this cinnamon bun it's kind of close to her ear. This may be a little low. I'm going to sort of adjust it. But I will show you exactly where you need it to be. You've got to have enough room for the donut to sit there and just come up to the top of her head, because this hair is puffed up a little bit right here. And so I'll kind of show you what I'm talking about. But as you can see, this completely covers her ear. You don't see her ear at all. And that's how it should be. So, you know, don't worry about it if you can't get it right the first time. It's not very hard once you know how to do it. So I would suggest being, you know, willing to, you know, give it a couple of tries to get it in the right place, because it really does make a big difference in your final look. To get your pigtail in the right place, I'm going to show you a trick. A lot of you ladies will already know this trick. Guys who don't use the man bun technique may not know this trick unless you have long hair, but you can take the hair and sort of divide it in half, or pull part of it and sort of pull the hair like this. And you can pull it a little more this way to sort of nudge the ponytail up, and you can pull it a little bit more on the bottom to nudge it down. So you don't have to completely take the ponytail out and redo it if it's not in the exact right space. I will warn you, if you're too aggressive with it, you can either break the pigtail holder or you can get some lumps up here which are not attractive, which may make you have to start over, but just a fair warning. So then the next step is you will use either your original donut or your replacement donut, either way. And all of her hair needs to sort of it goes on this way as though it were an earmuff. And all of her hair needs to sort of be pushed through the center. So there you have it. And so at this point, I'm actually going to go ahead and get my small rubber band ready by just sort of setting it there. Now the size of the rubber band you use for the ponytail doesn't really matter, as long as I just used a medium. You could use a large, just so that you can wrap it a couple of times. It'll make it stay more secure. You do want to use a small one for this last step, and you'll see why in just a second. So this is the part where you kind of have to form her hair around the donut. And it's not super easy, but it's not really hard. It's just kind of fiddly, and so you just kind of have to take your time. Especially if you have washed her hair recently, it makes it really kind of slick. So just try to be patient and try to make it as smooth and evenly distributed around the donut as possible. Now before I really go too far in that, I'm gonna look at this and kind of compare it to my original here. This is approximately where this bun is gonna be if her pigtail is there. And it looks like that's pretty close. It may need to be just a little higher up on her head, not much. I'm saying right above the ear. Once you do this 1 or 2 times, the hair starts kind of getting used to being in that position, if that makes sense. And so it's a little bit easier to kind of coax it around the donut. So I've taken her and I'm sort of laying her with her head on the side like this. You can actually take the comb, kind of distribute the hair evenly so that it's smooth and even across the donut. You're going to take your small rubber band, stretch it out, remain patient because you will want to scream. And that one I didn't do as great, but I kind of wanted to move my hand so you could see what's happening. So the problem on this particular attempt is her hair kind of bowed out. You can kind of try pulling it and moving it around. All right, so after several attempts, I got one of the small rubber bands around the donut. So what I do next is I take another small rubber band and just kind of snap it on there. You sometimes have to kind of pull the donut very gently, just sort of tug on it to sort of help guide it a little bit closer to the direction that you want. Sometimes you can sort of push the hair. If there's a bald spot, meaning the donut is kind of showing through, you can kind of move the hair on the donut very, very carefully, use a light touch, and just sort of guide it. The hair sort of tucks up inside the donut, the ends of her hair. So if you sort of pull the donut just a little bit away from her head, it allows the rubber band to slide underneath there and sort of pull those loose ends down or up inside this part of the donut. So if you look, it's placed pretty well. Certainly good enough for display. So depending on how long you want to spend getting it really perfect, I mean, after you do it a couple of times, it becomes much easier to sort of tell where the correct placement of the pigtail is, how to hold your hands exactly right to manage to get these teeny tiny little rubber bands to slide over the hair, to feel confident in sort of repositioning the hair on the donut. And again, if it doesn't look exactly right, if it doesn't feel like the placement is right, don't be afraid to just start over, take a deep breath, walk away from it, because doing hair is very frustrating. But I think that the key point is, again, just like on this sort of really nice example, you can see that the bun comes to the very bottom of her ear. It doesn't go too far below it, but it's right there. So that's how you kind of know that it's in the right location. And that's where we've got these. It just covers her ear, so you don't really see her ear. And if you do see her ear, then you know that it's a little bit too far. Now, in terms of how far forward or back the bun is, when you look at her from the exact side, it should be right next to the very outside corner of her eye. So again, you really kind of have to keep playing with this to make sure that your donut isn't showing through the hair, but you can definitely get it really close and definitely good enough for display purposes, so that she looks much better than the way she was when we started off. We will need to put on her accessories, so I'll go ahead and do that now. One tip that I would recommend is to do all of this before you try doing the hair. The reason being is obviously you can easily mess up her hair as you're trying to fiddle with all of these little pieces, particularly the belt, which, depending on the belt you have, can be quite difficult to fasten. So I would recommend that after you've sort of washed everything and you've got it ready to go, I would go ahead and get her dressed before you do her hair. Ugh. My 8-year-old self is laughing hysterically at modern day Melinda. So there we go. You can spend the time to make sure her stockings aren't wrinkled at the ankles, so she doesn't look like the poor sad lady at the nursing home whose stockings are baggy. But there you go. There are a lot of Princess Leia dolls out there who are incomplete, they have terrible hair, and people get intimidated and they think, I can't fix hair, I don't know how to do this, she's not ever going to be able to be displayed, so they just sort of sit there and go out with the trash. But, hopefully this video will give you the tips that you need for less than $5, not counting the accessories anyway. You can fix and style a Princess Leia doll's hair if you have one in your collection, and I think that she's going to look really nice on display. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.